Imagine standing at the edge of the most beautiful view you have ever seen in your life. The ocean stretching endlessly before you, the wind kissing your face, the golden afternoon sun melting into the horizon. And the last thing you feel before everything goes dark is the palms of the man you loved pushing you from behind. Not pulling you back from the edge, pushing you over it. That was my wedding anniversary. That was the gift my husband of 7 years gave me. And the only reason I am alive today to tell you this story is because of a man I had never met before. A man who most people in that city feared to even look in the eyes. A Korean Mafia boss who happened to be standing on that same cliff at that same moment, watching everything unfold. This is my story, and I'm warning you now. Every word that follows is going to settle into your bones and refuse to leave. Before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome to Crown and Karma Tales, the channel where real stories of betrayal, survival, and justice come alive. We tell the stories that remind you that what is done in darkness always finds its way into the light. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it right now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you never miss a single story, and drop a comment below because I want to know, where in the world are you watching from today? We have viewers from so many incredible places, and I genuinely love seeing your locations in the comments. Now let's get back to this story, because it is just getting started. My name is Suwa. I was born in Seoul, South Korea, but I moved to the United States when I was 12 years old with my parents, who were chasing the version of life that looked better from far away. We settled in a mid-sized city in California, and I grew up learning how to exist in two worlds at once, Korean enough at home, American enough outside. It made me adaptable. It also made me very good at ignoring the parts of things that didn't quite fit together, because I had spent my whole childhood doing exactly that. I met Daniel when I was 26. He was charming in the way that only truly dangerous men know how to be. He laughed loudly. He paid for everything. He told me I was the most interesting woman he had ever encountered, and he said it while looking directly into my eyes like he meant every syllable. I was not naive. I was educated. I had a good job in pharmaceutical marketing. I had friends who loved me and a mother who warned me. But Daniel had this way of making every warning sound like jealousy and every doubt sound like insecurity. We married after 2 years of dating. The first year of our marriage felt like a continuation of the courtship. The second year, small things started shifting. He became more interested in my finances. He asked detailed questions about my life insurance policy, questions that I brushed off as him being responsible and future-focused, which is what he called it. He encouraged me to increase my coverage. He said it was smart planning. He said he was doing the same with his. He wasn't. By our 5th year of marriage, I had a $2 million life insurance policy. Daniel was the sole beneficiary. I didn't know at the time that he had never updated his own policy, and that I was only listed for a fraction of that amount on his. I also didn't know that he had accumulated significant gambling debts that he had hidden from me so skillfully that I had no idea they existed. I didn't know that he had a second phone. I didn't know that there was another woman who he had been promising a future to, and that future required a very specific thing, my absence and my money. I found out all of this later, much later, after the cliff. For our 7th anniversary, Daniel planned what he called a surprise romantic trip. We were going to the coast of Oregon. He booked a small, beautiful cabin near the shoreline and told me he wanted to reset everything, that he knew the last couple of years had felt distant, and he wanted to remind me why we chose each other. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. There's a particular kind of hope that a woman holds on to in a struggling marriage, and it makes her see what she wants to see. We arrived on a Friday evening. The cabin was genuinely beautiful. He cooked dinner. He opened wine. He was tender in a way he hadn't been in years, and I remember thinking, maybe I was wrong about everything. Maybe we're going to be okay. The next afternoon, he suggested a hike to a cliff overlooking the ocean. He said he had read about it online, that the view was extraordinary, and that he wanted to watch the sunset there with me. We packed light. We walked the trail together, and he held my hand the entire way up, which he almost never did anymore. The cliff was exactly as described, breathtaking. The kind of view that makes you feel small in the most peaceful way. There were a few other people around when we first arrived, but as the afternoon stretched on, most of them drifted back down the trail. The sun was beginning its descent. It was golden and enormous, and the ocean below was a dark, churning blue-green. Daniel stood beside me at the railing. There was a simple wooden railing, more decorative than protective, and he put his arm around me. He said, "You know I love you, right?" And I said yes. And then he said, "Close your eyes. I want you to just feel this for a second." I closed my eyes, and then I felt his hands, both of them, flat against my back, and I felt the force, deliberate and hard, and then I felt nothing beneath my feet. I don't remember the fall itself. I remember the push, and then I remember pain, an explosion of it. And then I remember water and cold and darkness closing in from every direction. The cliff wasn't a sheer vertical drop. There was a rocky slope below, and then the ocean. I hit the slope first, which should have killed me. What saved my life, the doctors later told me, was a combination of factors. The angle at which I fell, the dense brush that caught and slowed my body at certain points, and the fact that I landed partially in a shallow tidal pool at the base rather than directly on bare rock. I was unconscious. I was broken in several places. I was dying, and then someone jumped in after me. His name, I would learn, was Junki Park. He was 53 years old. He was, by every official record, a successful import-export businessman with a residence in Los Angeles and significant holdings throughout California and parts of East Asia. He was also, in the world that existed beneath official records, the head of one of the most powerful Korean organized crime networks on the West Coast. A man whose name was spoken carefully by people who knew it and never spoken at all by people who were wise. He had been on that cliff with two of his associates. They had driven up the coast that weekend for reasons entirely their own. He had been standing perhaps 40 feet away when Daniel pushed me. He had seen everything. His associates had seen everything. Junki Park did not hesitate. He told his associates to call emergency services immediately, and then he climbed down that rocky slope, a 53-year-old man in dress clothes, and pulled me out of that tidal pool and kept me breathing until help arrived. When the paramedics came, when the police came, Junki Park and his associates gave full statements. They described precisely what they had seen. They described Daniel. They had photographs. One of his associates had been taking scenic photos on his phone and had captured Daniel and me at the railing moments before the push. The angle wasn't perfect, but it showed enough. It showed Daniel's position. It showed the moment. Daniel, who had already walked calmly back down the trail and returned to the cabin, who had waited a calculated amount of time before calling the park services to report that his wife had slipped and fallen, was arrested that same evening. I spent 11 days in the hospital. I had a fractured pelvis, 3 broken ribs, a broken collarbone, a severe concussion, and lacerations across most of my left side. I underwent 2 surgeries. I lost consciousness multiple times in those first 48 hours, and the medical staff later told my mother that it had been extremely close. My mother flew in from California. She sat beside my bed and held my hand and cried in the quiet way that Korean mothers cry, without making much sound, just letting the tears fall, her jaw tight, with everything she wasn't saying out loud. I learned about Daniel's arrest while I was still in the hospital. A detective came to take my statement. She was gentle and thorough. She told me that they had eyewitnesses. She told me about the photographs. She told me that Daniel's phone had been seized and that its contents were being analyzed. She did not tell me everything they found on that phone, but she told me enough that this had not been impulsive, that there was evidence of planning, and that the investigation had expanded significantly. I asked her who had pulled me out of the water. She told me his name, Junki Park. She said he had cooperated fully with law enforcement and that his statement was detailed and credible. She said he had asked, through his attorney, to be informed of my recovery. I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't know who Junki Park really was yet. That came later. 3 weeks after I was discharged from the hospital, still moving slowly, still healing, I received a delivery at my mother's house where I was staying. It was a small arrangement of white peonies, my favorite flower, which I had never mentioned to anyone connected to this situation, and a card that said only, "Glad you are still here. JKP." I asked my friend Mina, who had grown up in Los Angeles Korean circles, if she knew the name Junki Park. She went very still. Then she said, "Suah, where did you hear that name?" And when I told her, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "That man saved your life in more ways than you understand." She explained who he was carefully, and the way you explain something that requires both information and delicacy. I sat with that for a long time. A man who operated in shadows, who moved through the world in ways that polite society preferred not to examine, had seen a woman being murdered and had not looked away, had not calculated whether involvement was wise, had not considered what complications might arise from interacting with law enforcement. He had simply acted because a human life was ending in front of him, and he was not the kind of man who could watch that. There's a particular irony in that. My husband, who wore respectability like a tailored suit, who went to church on holidays, who shook hands with neighbors and remembered their children's names, he tried to murder me for money, and the man the world would call dangerous, the man people crossed streets to avoid, was the one who climbed down a rocky cliff in his dress shoes and pulled me out of the water with his bare hands. The trial lasted 9 days. Daniel's attorney attempted several strategies, suggesting it had been an accident, suggesting the eyewitness accounts were mistaken, suggesting the photographic evidence was inconclusive. None of it held. Junki Park testified in person. He was calm, precise, and utterly unshakable on the stand. He described what he saw with the clarity of a man who did not embellish because he didn't need to. The truth in his telling was enough. Daniel's phone contained messages with the other woman, messages that discussed the insurance policy specifically, messages that discussed timing, messages that are not appropriate to repeat here, but that removed any remaining possibility of innocent interpretation. His search history contained research into cliff heights, survival rates, insurance claim processes, and grief counseling. That last one presumably to perform afterward. He was convicted on 1 count of attempted murder and 2 additional charges. He was sentenced to 22 years. He will be in his mid-60s when he is eligible for parole. After the trial, I wrote a letter to Junki Park. I did not know how to reach him directly, but through Mina and some careful connections, the letter found its way to him. I thanked him, not in the simple, brief way that words usually cover these things, but fully and honestly. I told him that I was aware of who he was and that it did not change what he had done for me or how I felt about it. I told him that I was rebuilding and that I wanted him to know his action had made a life possible that would have otherwise ended on that cliff. He responded with a letter of his own, handwritten. He said that he had a daughter my age and that watching what happened on that cliff had been one of the most disturbing things he had witnessed in a life that had not been short on disturbing things. He said he was glad I had survived. He said that some debts between people are not financial and do not require repayment, only acknowledgement. He said he hoped the rest of my life would be quieter and better than what had brought us into each other's orbit. I have kept that letter. I will always keep it. I am telling you this story today because I want you to understand several things. I want you to understand that danger does not always look like danger. It often looks like a hand held on a hiking trail, like wine at dinner, like close your eyes. I want you to feel this. The most harmful people in our lives frequently know exactly how to look like the safest ones. I want you to understand that help does not always come from the places we expect or the people we think we deserve it from. Sometimes grace arrives in forms that don't match our assumptions about what grace is supposed to look like. Be careful about deciding in advance who is capable of goodness. And I want you to understand that I am alive, that I woke up from that hospital bed, that I healed slowly and painfully and completely, that I rebuilt, that I am here. Whatever cliff someone has pushed you toward, whether literal or figurative, I need you to know that the water at the bottom does not always win. Sometimes someone sees what happened to you. Sometimes someone climbs down after you. Sometimes the story that was supposed to end doesn't. That's the story for today. and I truly hope it stayed with you. If it did, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the stories that find us are the ones we were meant to pass along. Don't forget to subscribe to Crown and Karma Tales if you haven't already, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought of Junki Park's decision to come forward. Tell me what part of the story hit you the hardest. And of course, where in the world are you watching from today? I love this community, and I love hearing from every single one of you. Until the next story, remember that karma keeps its own schedule, but it always keeps its appointments.